Wait a minute. Scouts don't have flamethrowers. Hey everybody, F-Bomb Fitzgerald here, and today I'm doing a little bit of a different style of video. I've got some gameplay in the background here on 2 Fort, and that's actually the subject I wanted to talk about today. The idea of people saying something is bad when really they mean something is not for them, and you're definitely a spy. Man, I'm running a bit of a meme loadout in this video with the Pomson and the Southern Hospitality, which I'd argue are the worst wrench and the worst primary for engineer. But considering how many spies they're running on the other team, it's actually not been that bad in terms of helping reveal where the spies are. But yeah, going back to the topic I wanted to discuss, I feel like a lot of times, whether it's politics or music or movies or really anything that's subjective, people will sometimes say these very sweeping, kind of absolute statements of, oh, this song is bad, or this band is bad, or this video game is bad, or in the case of Team Fortress 2, a certain map or even game mode is bad. And, there's arguments to be made in terms of like, okay, what is more competitive or what flows better. But even some of those arguments I feel like are more subjective, making assumptions about what your class selection is, what your playstyle is, and what your skill level is. So that's why I decided to talk about 2 Fort. I think a lot of advanced players will say 2 Fort is a bad map because of the design, makes it too easy to turtle, the sniper deck is too powerful and too difficult to counter a good sniper on, or even just that capture the flag itself is a flawed game mode, and cap crits being a mechanic that your average player doesn't really have control over, that overly punishes the enemy team for mistakes that their teammates may be making. But my counter argument to all of that is 2 Fort isn't meant to be a high level comp map. 2 Fort is not a sixes map. 2 Fort's not really a map that if you've got over 500 hours in the game, you should be spending a lot of time messing around on. 2 Fort is a beginner map. There's some people who would make the argument that it could also be a deathmatch map, where if you want to practice your DM skills with a specific class, it could be good for that. And sure, I'll concede that might be a secondary benefit to this map. But I would argue that the primary function of 2 Fort, at least in 2022, and hell, I'd say for the last at least 7 years, is it's an excellent map to teach new players how to play the game. There are a few different things. I'm going to talk first about layout. So this map has a very clear horizontal space in the middle of it. It's got good verticality in terms of being able to jump on that center bridge, the sniper decks being able to jump off of them or up to them as an explosive class. So it's got very good verticality. People can learn how to fight in the air in that middle area. They can learn to fight on the ground in this kind of bridge area and above the water. Also in the courtyard areas, I'd argue is very good for ground-to-ground combat. And then there's a whole water section, which you don't see in a ton of TF2 maps, but that teaches people the basic mechanics of swimming, how certain weapons behave differently in the water. So it's very good just for learning the very basics of movement, the basics of verticality, and also I'd argue the other benefit of 2 Fort is that it's not bad for any class. There are certain maps, I'd argue Dust Bowl would be a good example, where engineers and demo men, especially on defense, are incredibly viable, whereas some other classes like Spy may struggle due to the chokiness of the design and how the map really hasn't evolved since its very inception. 2 Fort, I'd argue, yeah, sure, there's some classes that are very powerful, snipers being a prime example on the sniper decks, and engineers in the courtyards. But really, you could make the case that a scout can, show value in terms of trying to cap the intel. Scouts are very strong in this middle area, especially because they can get on top of the bridge awning. So scouts are fine. Soldiers are very powerful because they can counter sniper, because they have the mobility to get up on the sniper deck. Demo men are very good in terms of defending the chokes, but also being able to have that mobility to get up and harass snipers. Engineers, you can play them incredibly defensively, where most new players will do that in their own courtyard because they have an easy supply of ammo. I'm demonstrating in this clip, you can play engineer fairly aggressively, and I'm not even doing anything crazy like Wrangler jumps onto the awning on the middle bridge. But yeah, so NGs are fine. Medics clearly are very valuable on this map because stock Uber sometimes is the only way you can push through the enemy defenses and get into their courtyard. Snipers, don't need to say anything more. You could argue that it's not a great map to learn sniper on because you don't learn positioning, you just learn mechanics. But yeah, again, if somebody just started playing TF2 and they wanted to learn the basics of movement, the basics of teamwork, the basics of any of the classes, trying to viably learn any of the 9 classes, kind of be hard pressed to pick a better map than 2 Fort for learning those things. Sure, there's going to be some things which I feel teach bad habits, like, relying on cap crits or being overly turtley or assuming that you have an infinite supply of ammo as a sniper or an engineer by just running back into your spawn. But in the big scheme of things, I feel like those don't break the learning curve. And, if those serve as training wheels for new players to get into TF2, I'm all for it. I know I have over 5,000 hours of experience in game, and I still get frustrated when I get rolled in a team stomp. And I can only imagine how much harder that is for a brand new install where they don't even understand why they got stabbed or how a headshot works. Or why the crit rocket they fired magically didn't do crit damage because the enemy soldier is running battalion's backup, or what have you. So I guess this is just my super long-winded way to make the argument that, yeah, 2 Fort may not be the most fun map for you as an experienced player, but that's not its goal. And you need to understand that not everything is made for you specifically, whether it's food, culture, video games, maps in a video game, or even classes. And really, my advice, and what helps me get through the various matches at TF2 and my daily life, is understanding, hey, I don't have to like everything, but not everything is for me, and that's okay. So maybe next time you catch yourself saying that something is bad, ask yourself the question, is it really bad, or just not for me? Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.